So during the course of Endgame, what do we see? We see at the very beginning of the play, our time in the play, right? We see, Clove come in, take off Ham's blanket, um, and sort of describe that he hopes that things will be finished soon, that it has to be finished soon, that we got to be done with everything soon, and then go to his kitchen, and then the play begins, right? And we see throughout that first sort of half of the play, Ham interacts with his parents, he interacts with Clove, they talk about how nothing is around, they talk about how there is no, there are no biscuits left, they talk about how there is no food, that it doesn't seem like there's anything, right, at all. And so we might, right, conclude from that, right, from that first half of the play and even on into the latter half of the play, that, time is moving forward. At one point in time, they had to have eaten something, right, because they're still alive. And if today they've eaten nothing, well, they're not going to survive, right, for much longer, right? We do see that, the last of the biscuits is given out, right, to Nag, right, and that he offers to share. But do we see evidence it's the last, right? We don't really see evidence of anything, right? We don't get to see out the windows, right? Clove goes up the ladder and looks out the windows and says, there's nothing out there. It is a play in which a lot of things are said, but very few things are shown to be true, right? We might believe at the end of the play, because of Clove's observations looking in the trash cans, right? Nell is probably dead, right? Nag is very sad about the whole thing. And there is discussion of the past. There is discussion of one day. Do we see any evidence, though, that this one day is coming? Like, we do see Clove grab his coat and his suitcase at the end, prepared to leave, right? Does he go? He does not. Very much like in Waiting for Godot. They say that they're going to go, they do not. Is this a continuation, right, of the same exact thing that, they say they're going to go, they do not go. Are they unable to? Are they unwilling to? Is this a fear of change? Is this an inability to go? Is this a malevolent creator not giving them the free will to do what they really want to do? Right? That is all going to be sort of up to us to decide. As Beckett says, right, his plays mean what they mean. And it's the most aggravating answer that you're ever going to get from a playwright, and yet probably one of the most honest that you're going to get from a playwright, right? They've written the play they've written, and now it's up to you. This idea, right, of a play getting into the hands of a viewer, well, I guess in the eyes of a viewer, I suppose, right, or a reader, and sort of leaving the protective custody of its author is not new, right? We see debate about plays and about literature all the time, right? And we refer to some of this inability of an author to really sort of change or reflect as much on their own work as they might like, as sort of the death of the author, right? We don't get to question the author once they have died, but an author, once he or she has passed along their work to an audience, sort of loses control over what an audience does with it, right? My interpretation might not equal that of the author, but an author cannot stop me from having that interpretation, right? And the theater of the absurd is especially, I think, well known for this, right? That people have a lot of thoughts about the theater of the absurd. And are they reflective of what Beckett meant when he created the plays, what Ionesco meant when he created the plays, that Genet created, what Genet was doing when he created the plays? Doesn't matter, right? Interpretation is really going to be up to the way that you experience the play, but again, as much as the death of the author allows us to read into things, there are logical and illogical conclusions that can be drawn here, right? If we look at this as saying, oh, well, I take this play to mean that there is, for example, no God, no religion. Everybody has already died. This is hell, and these two people are sitting in hell, and they've got the consciences of their parents with them. I can make that interpretation. Is it a very logical interpretation? I don't think so, right? I think that most people would say, right? They would have a lot to say about that. But, right, this is what makes our debate about this sort of thing fun, right? We get to enjoy sort of the way that we are interpreting these plays. So, in the next video, I do want to talk a little bit more about sort of how the play ends and maybe what we do take away from the end of this play and what we can take going into the next couple of weeks. Be right back.